The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Eugene Zakowski here with FCS Roofing Software. Today's demonstration, our webinar, we're actually going to review how to perform a inspection inside of FCS Direct. Waiting for a few more attendees to join us. So we're going to start in about 4 or 5 minutes here. So I just wanted to say good morning to everybody, and if you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat icon located on the right or the questions poll, and we'll be answering questions and addressing any concerns after the remaining of the webinar. The webinar itself should be about 15 to 20 minutes, and we'll have a few minutes available for question and answer. So I look forward to speaking to everybody in a couple minutes. Good morning, everybody, once again. My name is Eugene Zakowski here with FCS Roofing Software. We're going to get started here. Today's webinar is going to focus on how to perform a inspection inside of FCS Direct. We have some current clients in the system here. We have some people that are potential clients looking at the system. If you guys have any questions, I'm going to answer them towards the end of the webinar. Please feel free to use the questions option into the GoToWebinar panel on your right there, and I'll be happy to answer those questions towards the end of the webinar or follow up with a phone call to answer any of your questions if you needed to talk about something offline. Once again, my name is Eugene Zakowski. I am the head of implementation and training here at FCS. And today's webinar, we're going to focus on entering and creating a proposal for a new property. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to select my property screen. Once we're in the system, we can search any previous properties that we've been in to see if the client that's requesting a new proposal or a new quote or a new inspection, if they're already in the system or not. In this case, we're going to start from the beginning. I'm going to go ahead and enter a new property. I'm going to enter the client information. Go Go ahead and put email address in here. It's very important to capture the client's email address in the system because the system allows you to communicate with the client right through here, sending them proposals and few other features right through the software. And it helps having their email in here to save you some time on looking up that information later. I'm going to go ahead and enter my client's address. Select my state, and the zip code should auto-populate. We want to go ahead and put in the client's property, the details of the property name. We're going to call this Zakowski Residence. And we want to select if the property is residential or commercial at this point. So if we decide to order a sky measure or when we're building out our templates, the system knows what kind of field conditions that we want to use for this property. In this case, we're going to go ahead and select this as a residential property. And then the client's call, they want to quote on their steep slope roofing and their gutters. Setting the systems that the client is interested in getting quotes on ahead of time is important, so that way when we're going through the proposal step, our field conditions for those systems are going to populate, so that way we can actually generate our proposal off of our inspection. So I have a couple options here after I have the client entered into the system. I can start my inspection. I can schedule this inspection later on for myself or for another inspector in my company, or I can simply save the property and return. But we're going to go ahead and start the inspection here. Immediately, the system's going to take us right into capturing our measurements and gathering all of our data. As you can see here, we have all of our steep slope roofing field conditions and measurements that we can capture, and we have our systems for the gutters here. I have several ways I can enter this information into the system. I can manually, as I always have, go up on the roof and measure everything out and simply enter this data in here and fill out everything as I go along, or we could take advantage of our Sky Measure tool. By selecting the Sky Measure tool here, we can pick what kind of property it is, but since we pre-selected residential, it's selected that one for us. As you can see here, our pricing for these reports are very competitive. We're looking at $27 for residential, $40 for commercial. And then we can choose here how we want this report delivered. No Express is usually within 8 hours turnaround time, but for a small increase in the fee, we can actually have these reports expedited for a little bit more by selecting them. As soon as we fill out the information, we can hit send, and then the order will start to be processed, and you'll get an email notifying you that the order has been received, and you'll also get an email confirmation when the order's been received back into the system. For this example, though, as we're working through this, we're going to go ahead and do an inspection using a different tool that we offer our contractors that's free of charge, called a direct drawing tool. The direct drawing tool allows you to take the measurements of your property a couple different ways. You can actually insert an image of the property and actually do one off of a takeoff style report. You can use a Google Maps aerial view or plot on a grid. I'm going to show you how we can do one off of a takeoff. So I'm going to go ahead and just select a takeoff report and upload it into the system here. So if you have new construction or if you're working off of blueprints, you can still capture all of your measurements in the system here and be able to build out your estimate off of that inspection. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. This one's got the actual scale and pitch written. I'm going to set my cursor. Move it just enough to get it done here. And I'm going to tell the system that this is actually 2 linear feet. And then we can actually do our takeoff off of here. Another option that we offer is to actually use the Google Maps tool. So I'm going to go ahead and just reset that quickly. One thing that our users of the system may have noticed is that we now have the ability to set our field conditions in the area that we want to see them. So if we want our roof area to be our first field condition, we can actually adjust that order now going into the settings of the system and making those adjustments. We also now have the ability to add and remove field conditions from within a system. So if we didn't want to see apron skirts, for example, as a field condition inside of our flat roof system, we can actually remove that from the system to kind of clean up the clutter a little bit. What I've done here is I'm actually chosen a Google Maps option. So the first thing the system's going to do is going to go ahead and find our property and highlight it here with the red dot. I'm going to go ahead and capture that. Once that background image is captured, we can actually set our scale. So I'm going to pick 2 flat points here. A straight line is usually the easiest to set our scale off of. And if you notice up here in the upper left-hand corner, we've actually got a rolling tape measure here. It tells us how long that actual line is. I'm going to go ahead and set my scale. I'm going to adjust that to 35 linear feet and set my scale. We can rotate this image if we'd like, if we wanted to work at different angles, or if we like where it is, simply just leave it. And then once I'm happy with the way it's laid out, I'm going to go ahead and complete my setup. The first measurement I want to take is actually my roof area. I'm going to go ahead and pick my starting point. I'm going to roll this out to each corner. See if I made a little bit of mistake here in the corner. I can actually correct myself and start over or reset the system as a whole. Zoom in a little bit if I'd like to get a little better detail. Set my points again. Capture my roof area for 1. I'm going to go ahead and add my pitch. Capture my second roof area. Again, add my pitch for this area. And capture the third roof area. Now again, you can get as detailed and as you'd like with these measurements. Get into each crevice and corner here to kind of capture everything. I'm going to adjust for the overhang a little bit. Go ahead and add some pitch. After this, I'm going to go ahead and gather my eaves. Now, the nice thing about the system is eaves are something that you're going to find both in gutters and in the roofing, so you can measure it once and it'll apply when you're building a proposal for all of your estimates. So any measurements that you take that can apply across multiple systems will carry over for you. Now you can take these measurements for any type of property, be it a commercial area or residential. All the properties that you can find in the system will come up based on a Google Maps aerial drawing, of course. Capture my ridge length here. course, these drawings are good enough to get you a pretty accurate estimate. So when you're working on a proposal, and of course, we always recommend that you final measure the roof area once you know the client is interested for sure. So I can quickly capture and see everything that I have measured. If I'm happy with all the measurements that I have taken, go ahead and also take my rake. Scroll down here for my other field conditions. And if there was a field condition that I needed in this property because it's unique or I don't have it in the system, I can simply add a field condition here at the bottom of the inspection of the tool here by selecting Add Field Condition. I'm going to go ahead and take my rake. Make sure I add my pitch for those. Okay, if I'm satisfied with all of my drawings here, I can actually finish this. Once I have everything measured out that I wanted to measure, I can simply select the next step. And what it'll actually do, the system will actually generate a little report that you can create for your clients right from your drawing here. If you wanted to, you can actually toggle the grid on. You can remove the background image to just view what you've actually measured. And then we can actually generate a report here. So I'm going to go ahead and select Next Step. And the system will actually generate a report that we can share with our client and show them in the event that we would like to. So if I select this drawing table here, here's my little report for the drawing that I've taken. And we actually have a details report. The Sky Measure reports have a lot more detail, and I'll be showing those too before the end of the webinar today. Now that I'm complete with everything, we can actually do the inspection process of the proposal. Now that I have all my field measurements here, as you can see, everything's filling in. So all the measurements I just took, all that data was filled in to our tables. And again, we had some shared field conditions, especially eave length for the gutters, that also filled into the system. If we had taken a sky measure, the same thing would have happened. All of the tables would have filled in completely with all the information. The next step of the inspection is to capture the observations. So I can simply select to add new observation. If I was on my mobile device and I hit the button, the system would ask me if I wanted to use my camera, or I could take a file photo. I'm on my desktop here, so I'm going to go ahead and use a file photo. As it loads into the system here, we can say this is north front. We can add as many observation photos as we'd like through the property. Highly recommended that you take a picture of all four corners of the home or the property that in question. This way it gives your client a really good idea as to the detail that you've gone into putting together this inspection for them. We can also identify any repairs in our inspection process. I'm going to simply select Identify Any Repair. I can take a picture of the repair. In this case, we're going to have a broken skylight. We can pick that repair from our list of repairs that we've created. And again, it'll help you fill in a description, fill out a corrective action. You can even preset the price in the system. So this way it saves you a lot of time in the field from going through and filling in a description, a corrective action, all the pricing. If you have salespeople in the field, this will help them as well if they're new. That way they don't really have to think too much about what to say or what to do. And it also helps them standardize the language and the communication with your clients. It helps to ensure consistency throughout. Again, we can do as many inspection photos as we need to. I'm going to go ahead and select another one here. I'm going to say we also need a chimney repair. We can say we have 10 linear feet, and it's going to go ahead and set our price for us. The more detailed we get into our inspection process here, we can give our client a really good idea as to what is happening on their roof, as most clients don't have that ability to go up on their roof, or have probably never would really go up on their roof and look through everything. And this gives them that option to look as quickly and possibly as we can. If we needed to remove a photo or change one, we could simply exit out. System's going to ask us if we want to remove it, and we can add a new one at any time. Swap those out. And the nice thing about all of this is everything is in real time. So as soon as you take that photo in the field, the system automatically updates any other users in the system. So if you needed assistance, if you took a repair picture and you're not really sure how much to price it for or what the information is, you could take this photo, put it in the system, and another user could log in remotely and see the issue and kind of help you work through it. It definitely helps bring out the entire communication process and helps speed everything up for you. After we've identified or repaired and captured observations, we can go ahead and create our condition. Our system is set up to use a simple A, B, C, D, and F grading system. Every customer understands that. Real simple to use. We can simply select it C. Roof needs to be replaced in a year, as it is showing where. This way we give our client a really good information here as far as how we feel how the roof is currently standing, what is our recommendation as far as replacing it, fixing it, or what needs to be done. And as we generate our inspection report or our proposal, we give them all of the information that they need to make a decision. We also have the ability within the system to do what we call internal notes. Internal notes are notes that you want to make as an inspector or someone who's looking over the property to share within your team. These notes are not accessible to the client and will not show up on the report, but it gives you a way to communicate within the group. So as you can see here, it's going to mark who made the note, when they made the note, and timestamp it. And these notes cannot be deleted or edited besides the person who originally entered them. Kind of as a way to show some data integrity within the system. Once we're done with our inspection, we can simply select done, or we can mark it as completed. Once the system's is marked as completed, nobody can go back in and edit it besides the original creator or an administrator. If an administrator wanted to, they have the ability to go into the system and reopen an inspection. If we wanted to take advantage of a previous year's inspection and redo and not have to start over, let's say a client called us last year to do an inspection, but they didn't end up purchasing anything from us, but they wanted to see us again next year, we have the ability to do a new inspection. So we're going to go say it's for Bill, and we're going to see with the customer. We can perform any inspection, but the system's going to let us take advantage of all the work we did previously as far as measuring the roof out and everything like that. So it's going to ask me here, do I want to go ahead and set the prior year's inspection? I'm going to go ahead and select yes. And as you can see, all that data filled in from last year's inspection, assuming nothing's changed on the property here. This way we can have a historical record of previous inspections and work through any issues that the client may be having. Once our inspection's completed, we can create our proposal or our inspection report, however we'd like to do it. If you wanted to create a proposal, once we're in here, we can add a new estimate and take advantage of any of the systems that are here and actually perform a quote. If you simply wanted to provide a proposal to your client, we can go to View Build Our Proposal. We can also add some documents if we wanted to add that report that we made or our sky measure report, or if we have a cover page we'd like to add to the system. For this example, I'll go ahead and add them all. And we're going to go ahead and build our proposal out. So I'm going to insert my cover page as the first thing I see. I'm going to show them their observation photos, my recommendation, current issues on their property, and I'm going to go ahead and insert my report drawings. You can also insert your sky measure report if you had ordered one for this client. Since I don't have any estimates attached to this one, we'll be covering that in another webinar. There won't be one included, but we could add an estimate as well at this time. If we simply wanted to show our client an inspection report, here we can show it to them on our mobile device, or we can actually email it right out of the system for the client. I'll show you guys what that's going to look like. So here's how it's going to come to your client. I've created a cover page that we added. It's going to give them the information here, all of the notes that we have taken, any damage and estimates to repair them if we'd like. And if we have any terms and conditions or anything set in the system, it'll actually include them. Here's my little report that I was done from the roof area. And here's my inspection drawing. And I've also attached a customer referral letters to the inspection so a client knows that we're dealing with a reputable contractor. So that's it. That's what it takes to do an inspection and a proposal within FCS Direct. As promised, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a sky measure drawing so you guys have an idea as to how that's going to look. Back one more. One second here. Here we go. Let's see here. Here's the detailed sky measure report that's included for your clients if you'd order one. As you can see, here's a brief summary page. It's going to give us the last 2 years. Has there been any major hail damage in the area or hail storms? And it gives you great detail on a property. This one happens to be a commercial one. It's going to give us our real quick overview of the total area, pitched area, and all this, the basic information that we're going to need. And then it gets into detail. It's going to give us some observation photos. It's going to give us our roof diagram and layout. More of an enhanced view. And on commercial and residential, they're actually going to give us any cutouts or anything that's in the property. And again, the going rate for commercial is $40 and residential is $27 for these. And the report will actually break everything out by structure as well. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for their time today. I'm going to go ahead and check the questions quickly if there's any questions. Okay, I don't see any questions or anything like that at the moment. If anybody would like a follow-up, please feel free to either send a comment here in the question section. I'd be happy to call you and answer any questions that you guys may have. Okay, well, thank you everybody for attending today's webinar. This was creating doing an inspection inside FCS Direct. Thank you, everybody.